4 days home, and I still can't get rid of this divot in my head from my helmet, regardless of how many showers I've taken. On my return from this cross-country trip, my spouse asked me if it was all I thought it would be. And I didn't have an answer. Why did I do this trip to begin with? I did a clip during the journey, and journey is a funny word that's overused as well. I'll probably get back to that, where I laid out 3 premises or ideas that I've discovered since my diagnosis, and those were to serve as the reason. The first one was to have peak experiences. The second one was to create and get into authentic connections, and then the last one was to have worthwhile pain. Well, the trouble with these is that they are all intrinsic. They're all about me. And even authentic connections, and their takeaway must still be some kind of validation for what I've been teaching all these years as far as human communication is concerned. I read somewhere that pain turns us all into narcissists. Well, perhaps travel does just the opposite. Traveling mixed marriage. Ed on his badass cruiser, a Yamaha Warrior, and me on the utilitarian Triumph Tiger Explorer. We left southern Utah early to get the miles to San Diego behind us and win some time on the other end to descend to the tide pools of Cabrillo, fill the Pacific Ocean, and get some footage to mark the start of this coast-to-coast tour. we are in Yucca, New Mexico. We stopped for a lunch here. I've got my lunch together with a combination of goods there and making a good hearty meal. Tucson, we're hoping, reached a benchmark for us as far as the worst room of the trip. I mean, it was horrible. I got a little video of that I'll put in here. When we were in San Diego, when we arrived at the hostel, my bike fell over as I was getting it unloaded, and my helmet was sitting on the seat, which not a good thing to do, but I was tired. And when I'm that tired, I'm not making good decisions. But the bike, as it was falling over, the helmet fell off the seat. And what happened is it broke should be a clear windscreen on there, and it broke it at the junction there. And so when we were coming into Tucson, actually we were coming out of someplace, I can't remember, it blew off. And so now I'm riding without a windscreen on that, and this is a German-made helmet, and no one's going to have the part that I need. So actually it's been, the glimmer of this is that it's a lot less claustrophobic. I still have a sunshade windscreen that comes down, and then I have some anti-glare glasses I wear behind that. And other than getting pelted right across here by insects, it's been quite nice that way. So the bike sustained a little bit of damage, the pannier did, but nothing too unlivable here as we go. So Tucson's redemption lay in the visit from two people and their amazing son, people who've been present through it all in my living. And by present, I don't mean something said when roll is called. I mean full on, press against the dike of coming undone. Everyone should be loved like this. San Antonio, like the rest of the state, was in the throes of infrastructure improvement, while my own infrastructure seemed to be crumbling. This fifth day of the journey, not only did we celebrate Cinco de Mayo with our third consecutive Mexican evening meal, I had my own battle of the pueblo with a bone-on-bone grind from my shifting foot and ankle that was protesting every upshift and every step. Peak experience, my ass. This was miserable. But the thing I've learned about pain, about worthwhile pain, is appreciating its absence. It was a good morning to leave San Antonio, and with newfound optimism in commercial hospitality and acetaminophen, we rode our way through Houston with the destination of Lafayette programmed into my navigation. But the Banff cycle had different intentions. At a gas station in the thick of Houston, the old warrior wouldn't turn over for Ed. We left San Antonio today hoping to make it to Lafayette, and when we got to Houston we stopped to top up with gas, and when we did, Ed's bike wouldn't start, and the issue with that was just right in the ignition lock where the key goes in and you turn it on. And it's kind of a notorious issue with some motorcycle ignitions, so we wiggled it and the key itself and got it started, turned on. And so we made our way down the road, probably another 100 miles or so, stopped at a rest stop to change out into mesh clothing, and Ed went to start the bike and it wouldn't start, and no jiggling of the key would go through and take care of that. So here we are in Beaumont, Texas, instead of Lafayette, Louisiana, and that's going to elongate the schedule a little bit. We've got some wiggle room there to absorb some things like this, and I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that there's nothing more serious than a quick fix for Ed's bike, which is just down the street here at the Yamaha shop. So in the morning, we'll go through and figure that out. These shops motorcycle shops don't operate on Mondays. They're not open. And so that's why we're here kind of biding our time. But we'll see what tomorrow morning brings.
Found out that the mounting the battery is broken off, so I'm getting a new battery, and that's going to solve everything. And to answer the question that Eric gave me earlier, which is why did I buy such a cheap ass battery, it didn't feel cheap ass when I bought it. This one is not going to be cheap ass, but we're going to get back on the road.
The deeper into the South we went, the less homogeneous America became. Despite the Buc-ee's, the McDonald's, the bad drivers, Denny's turned into Shoney's, Popeyes into Bojangles, and each state had their own brand of bad driving habits, like completely ignoring the turn indicator in Louisiana. And the miles and days were starting their oxidation on both of us. 2,500 miles in a week. Ed made the night's reservation in New Orleans, which I had programmed into the Zumo. And when we pulled up to the hotel downtown, Ed asked over the helmet headsets, "What is this?" Once we got the bikes unpacked and then parked a block away and all the panniers and packs up to the room, the thought of going out on the town was quickly evaporating, a sad state for two music enthusiasts to be so worn down by motorcycle travel. We settled to eat at the hotel restaurant, which surprisingly made up for not getting out. The fare was superb. Alligator and crawfish prepared by an extremely talented young chef who talked to us about the nuances of properly preparing alligator. She knew her stuff.
So first gear is like, yeah. Second gear is, oh, yeah. Third gear is like, yeah. Fourth gear is, oh, yeah. And fifth gear is just like, everything.
It was there when the little epiphany began to emerge. I roll with two circles, and I don't mean the giant gyroscopes beneath me. I'm talking about what I imagine and what reality brings. Every once and again they intersect, but reality always has surprises, nuanced among the hard surfaces and olfactory onslaught of motorcycle travel. My original plan had us slabbing from New Orleans to Orlando in a day, a 10-plus hour, 630 miles of slabbing between storm systems. Since I built in a day to work with in Florida, I time-shifted it to that leg and split the difference across the top of the Gulf of Mexico, crossing Mississippi and Alabama and landing us in Defuniak Springs, Florida for the night, where nothing extraordinary happened. At a rest stop in Tallahassee on our way to our destination in Orlando. I'm pushing today, and whenever I have to push, meaning just push myself out of bed, push myself into my clothes, and push myself onto the motorcycle. You probably notice, if you don't ride, you probably notice at least that motorcycle riders give the sign when they pass each other. My sign's a little different. It's a hang loose sign. And sometimes when I have to really push, I have to give myself the hang loose sign too. So I have to tell myself, this is getting me there. You know, this is worthwhile pain to go through and do what it is that we're doing. As I told myself the same thing about chemo and its effects and things along that line. So the mosquitoes here aren't that worthwhile though. Just something I wanted to share with you as we make our way to Orlando today. Ed and I were met at our next destination, Claremont, Florida, by the destination provider, another human being who's been indelibly present throughout my life. He put us up in a very nice hotel for 2 very restful nights with some laundry thrown in and a fabulous lunch in historic Claremont at Caesar's Palace. Next time you're in Claremont, Florida, I would highly recommend it. We left Claremont before sunrise, my favorite time to ride. Little traffic, cool air, sunrises. We made good time to the gateway of the Keys, able to check in early and stash some baggage with the determination to ride all the way to Key West and back before the day was out. We had yet to stop for food since Claremont, and found a great spot in Key Largo, the least tourist encumbered, and had fried cod sandwiches with key lime pie. The deeper we got into the Keys, the less touristy they became, hopping from one island to the next and enjoying the sensation each bridge provided. until travel of any kind became lethargic and then interrupted with crazy, stupid car crashes. The more we played the first gear clutch shuffle, the more my optimism waned. We would not be taking Key West off the bucket list. Coming up from Florida City, it's motorcycle conked out again. I don't know what that's going to mean. It's Sunday, of course, meaning that Monday nobody's going to be open motorcycle-wise, service-wise, to help them out. So I don't know what's going to happen here. I think maybe he's going to stay here, and I'm going to press on to St. John's near Jacksonville and continue with the trip. But I just don't see this ending well. Monday, the 13th, I'm at Tybee Island, past Savannah there. It might as well be Friday, the 13th, because of just things that are going on. Ed's not with me still, and I thought I'd do an update. I heard from him this morning, and he's still tied up in Point Lucie, Florida. He's trying to get his bike looked at, trying to get somebody to look at his bike, and so far he's 0 for 2. So fingers crossed that something's going to happen there. I'm coming from St. John's, Florida, where I spent the night with a very good old friend that I knew when I lived in North Carolina. Somebody who was very instrumental in helping out with with so many things there, with moving to North Carolina and then leaving North Carolina as well, and then just being a great friend, he and his wife. And as things have been piling on this morning, I got a phone call from home, or actually I called home and found out that there's some things going on there that make me wish I was there instead of here. Well, last night, in talking to my friend George, he brought something up that I thought was profound, having to do with regrets. And I'm starting to regret this trip, doing what we're doing, because of all of the stuff that we have to deal with. And that aside, and we could talk about that forever, that's what makes it an adventure, Eric. Yeah, I get that. But George said it's instead of regretting something, you build on it. And as curt as that statement is, to me it started to become quite profound today, because there's nothing I could do. I can't park the bike, hop on a plane, and fly back to Salt Lake City, and then fly back here. I don't have the means to do that. I don't have the means to help out Ed any more than he has the means to do so. So my being there with him probably just be in the way. And as I press on to Charleston and to meet with another good friend there, I've just decided to build on this instead of regret it there. So today came up from St. John's through Jacksonville, and made my way through Savannah, and then from Savannah out here to I'm looking forward to Tybee Island. This is the Tybee Lighthouse in the background here, with what I've got going on. So anyhow, thanks for watching. After Tybee Island, I got back on 95 and then 17 to Charleston, where I stayed with my longtime newly wedded friend and colleague and his amazing spouse. My Charleston friend took me to Hannibal's for lunch, where I had an amazing experience. So I'm at the battery in Charleston, South Carolina, trying to get a look out to the ocean to Fort Sumter, where the Civil War began. It's quite a place. It's very enchanting here as things go. The waterfront is under construction as far as the new water barrier is concerned, so we can't get out to that area. But this technically is the end of the trip. This is the other coast. While Florida was part of that coast, I was more counting that Charleston would be that as it goes. So I heard from Ed this morning that his bike is not recoverable here. It needs a lot more. So he is going to ship his motorcycle back to Utah and fly back, hopefully make it back for his daughter's birthday tomorrow. And I am going to hit the road early tomorrow and make my way to Nashville, and then on to Kansas City, and then on to Denver to stay with Katie and Peter, and then home. 500-mile days basically is what those will be. So there's a victory here for me to make it this far and to be here at the other coast. At the same time, there's a sadness here to not have been able to do this, to finish it off with Ed. We've had just an extraordinary time together. My friend Z and his spouse here, they've been wonderful to reunite with. All my friends along the way have made that authentic connection very possible here as far as the trip goes. You're hearing all these bird sounds. There's an amazing amount of birds and nests here, variety of birds as well, that are creating some wonderful sounds and I broke my return trip up into another day instead of trying to do 500 miles at a time. I did 550 miles from Charleston to Nashville, and that about did me in. So I took another day and made a longer trip back. However, in Nashville, I got to experience the cicada outcoming there, which was pretty amazing. Was this all I thought it would be? It wasn't. It was, my imagination's not that broad or grand. It exceeded anything I could have possibly imagined, from the good times to the tough times. What I completely underestimated was my experience with Ed, and what he brought to the trip was absolutely extraordinary. So, in terms of authentic connections, I was overwhelmed. In terms of peak experiences, overwhelmed again. And in terms of worthwhile pain, well, it was certainly there. And then while the worthwhile pain was absent, I enjoyed that too. So if anything is gained by your watching this, I hope it's just that we just don't know what we're capable of doing until we do it, until we get out there and have the courage to go through and give it a try. And if there's any message I can impart to you as a post-cancer diagnosis survivor, it's that. Okay, thanks for watching.